Talk shows to get more nations involved in the fight against ISIS. Republican presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio said a joint U.S. Arab force is needed.
We need to have a ground force that defeats ISIS, and it should be made up primarily of Arab Sunnis. There will have to be American operators embedded alongside them. Special operators are combat troops. This is not a return to Iraq. We're not talking about 100,000 people or 50,000 armed soldiers, but we are talking about a significant force of special operators.
Let's bring in California Democrat Congressman John Garamendi. The congressman sits on the Armed Services Committee, joining me from the state capital of California. Hello, sir. Welcome to you.
Good morning.
How different is the Rubio plan from the White House policy on ISIS?
It's not. That's what the president said 14 months ago, that if we're going to be successful dealing with ISIS, boots on the ground had to come from the neighborhood, from Turkey, from the Kurds, from the Iraqi government, reformed and hopefully better, as well as Jordan and the Gulf states. That's not new. That's precisely what the president said 14 months ago, and that's been the fundamental strategy that's been in place. That together with air power. What is new is the arrival of Russia into this game in a big way. And that is a very, very important and in many ways a game changer. It has led to a renewal of the negotiations over the civil war in Vienna. And that is absolutely crucial to solving this problem. You've got to stop that civil war and then, working with all of the above, go after ISIS on the ground with local troops. And as Rubio said, and this has always been part of the president's strategy, you use your special forces in special ways, and we've seen that play out over the last few months.
Congressman, what have been the difficulties in getting the Arab allies in the region to put more boots, a robust number of boots on the ground? I mean, is it ideology? Is it a hopefulness that the U.S. will take the charge? Because it seems like time's a-wasting.
Well, first of all, the Iraqi army basically dissolved in the face of ISIL's advance, and that was 14, 15 months ago. So that has to be reformed. That's taken time. There's a question of whether that is being successful. There's been a question about how to involve the Kurds. And frankly, I think we ought to be much more direct in involving the Kurds. We basically have been working through the Iraqi government to the Kurds, and then you've got this very, very complex situation with Turkey and the Kurds. They've been at a fight for decades, and that has made it much more complex in providing the kind of direct assistance to the Kurds. Turkey has been reluctant to get involved, but they are increasingly involved as ISIS has been attacking them in their country. Jordan in and out, but nonetheless very directly involved with perhaps 1 million or more refugees in Jordan. And Saudi Arabia, here we go into what is one of the most difficult of all, and that is a 1,000-year fight that's been going on within Islam, the Sunni-Shia fight. And that has made this whole thing that much more complex, because ISIS is essentially a Sunni operation. The Shias support, and Saudi Arabia also Sunni. You look at Iraq as it presently is formed, that government has been more Shia than Sunni. Iran, Shia. So you go back and forth with this schism within Islam that makes this whole thing much, much more complex. But I think we're on the right track here. I think we're moving towards multiple boots on the grounds from these countries. We've certainly seen the Kurds, and we've also seen Russia in this, and that has really pushed the negotiations in Vienna forward much faster. Well, if that ends the civil war, then we're going to be in a position to deal directly with ISIS.
Talk about a very comprehensive but complicated answer. I actually was starting to take notes, and I stopped halfway through. My heavens. Very quickly,
I'm sorry.
Sir. No, you're quite all right. We appreciate the education on that. With regard to people here in the U.S., I've heard friends of mine even suggesting they're a little concerned about travel. You've got the holiday season, Thanksgiving, the most populated week for travel every year. Any concerns here that we should know about?
Well, nothing more than you've seen reported, and that is that all of us, every day in our daily life as well as in our travel life, you hear it on the loudspeakers in the airports. If you see something, say something. If you see an unattended parcel on the floor, talk about it. Have somebody take a look at it. You see something, say something. That's something that ought to be everyday life. And we also know, and you gave an example a moment ago about the drills that are going on in New York City. Those same drills are going on in other places across the United States, all to the good. But we're really talking about serious multitasking here. As individuals, be involved. As a community, police forces and the rest, they also are involved. They need to be prepared. They need to practice. And then you also have the international scene. And one very, very important thing that seems to have been happening, I think you went over this, although you didn't note it in your earlier report just a few moments ago, and that is the sharing of information. You talked about a fellow being arrested in Turkey. How was he arrested? Well, the French, the Belgians put the word out to the Turks. If you see this guy, arrest him. And similarly, you're seeing that playing out. So the sharing of information is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
And frankly, it wasn't so well done prior to the Paris attack.
Well, again, to your see something, say something, that's something that we here in New York, it's like part of our DNA as New Yorkers now, though.
Exactly.
Congressman, thank you so much for your time, and a happy Thanksgiving
Always,
to you, sir.
Whenever, Alex. Thank you.
A poll out of New Hampshire shows who Republicans think is the best candidate, best equipped to fight ISIS. You're going to find out who